Prize. Joining me here in Bold World for the very first time, I am in the shadow of greatness, none other than David Pelletier, world and Olympic champion. Welcome, David. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, PJ. Thank you for sharing your light, sharing your time. You know, usually all by yourself. Now you have somebody to ask questions to.
I know it's going to be very exciting, considering that the Pairs Short program is up next. Can you imagine the mayhem that's going to ensue? But I want to talk, first of all, David, about the Canadian pairs competitors. It's a very young field competing here, not a lot of international experience. You and I both watched the pairs programs. What do you think about new team Megan Duhamel and Eric Radford?
Well, I came to practice this morning for the first time. I saw Megan and Eric skate. I was so impressed. They are going to be the team to watch for in Canada in the next 4 years. The reasons for that are quite simple. They have it all. They have the it factor, they have the wow factor, they have chemistry. But what I saw in practice this morning is something I've never seen really on pairs practice. I saw a triple lot side by side. I saw a triple flip side by side. They're consistent in their side-by-side jumps. I think it's safe to say that they bring out of each other the best skater. Eric being the tall, lengthy, soft skater. Megan being the short, compact, explosive skater. She has become more soft in her knees, in the way she postures herself. Her position in her lifts are a lot better than he used to be. And I didn't know Eric could jump that well, so it was really, really a nice surprise to see this morning.
Well, what's really exciting about this team, too, and I've spoken to them, I've interviewed them, what they really enjoy is the fact that they have a very close friendship off the ice and that there's a great deal of security between them. So it's one of the things that is just the mark of a perfect pair.
Yep.
So what do you think about, we've got another team here, and that's Dylan Moskovich and Kirsten Moore-Towers. Last-minute replacements for Jessica Dubé and Bryce Davison. Bryce, of course, is out with an injury to his knee that got surgery this week. What do you think about them?
Well, I saw them for the first time, I think, last year at Skate Canada. And what impressed me the most about them is they don't get intimidated by the stage, whether it's at Nationals or I think their first competition was last year at Skate Canada. They took on the stage, they got on the ice, they brought the house down. They're really well trained, coached by Chris and Christy Wirtz, two-time Canadian pair champion. And I really love the fact that they commit to everything, whether it's in the first minute of the program or the last second. Everything they do it to a maximum 100% effort.
What was the element that you liked best?
Well, the consistency of their jumps and the fact that you don't know they're going into a jump. They land the twist and they go right into that triple toe. There's no telegraphing. There's no fear in their eyes. So it's really nice to see.
Now, what about the Canadian babies, as I like to call them, our very young team that are also competing here, Paige Lawrence and Rudy Swiegers? What do you think about them?
Well, what I liked about them is the youthful exuberance. I worked with them a few times. They came to Edmonton from Saskatchewan to work with Jamie and I a few times. And what I like is when I tell them to fix something, it's fixed. And you were talking about the chemistry between two people, and they really do have that. They're like best friends. They love to laugh. They actually love to skate with each other, and it really shows when they skate.
And it's also a question of that work ethic, which is just remarkable. Really, with all of our pair teams, they're just very hard workers, very diligent, and it's going to be really exciting to see what happens in the Pairs Short program.
Pairs is always the most exciting event.
It certainly is. Now, I have to tell my Bold fans here, I'm very excited. I have been able to persuade my partner here, David Pelletier, to give us the goods on the twist. So in a little segment I like to call Twist 101, let's take a look at some of the finer points about the twist. Now, what do you think those are, David?
Well, the twist is the most spectacular element in pair skating. It was one of my favorite to do. There's many things you can do to maximize your points in an element like this. The height of the girl, obviously, the position of her leg in the split, the entry, you can make it either difficult or easy. The girl can rotate with her arms above her head while she's turning, and that makes it all more complicated, and you can maximize your points. But the point here is you have to watch the catch, because the catch is really the last impression the judges will have of your element. And it's a very, very hard thing to do. It's very subtle, and when it's well done, it gets you a lot of points. But when it's not well done, unfortunately, you lose a little bit of points. And here's one example where you can see two bodies. It's a great twist, but you can see two bodies collapse on the catch. So she's got great height. She looks great in the air, and right there, boom, she collapsed on his shoulder. And unfortunately, they will lose a little bit of points for that.
So that compromises the integrity of the element, is what you're saying. That was Yuko Kavaguti and Alexander Smirnov of Russia. The footage that we're showing you is from the 2009 Worlds in Los Angeles. Let's take a look at another team.
Well, the other team is Zhang and Zhang, one of the best twists in the world. I mean, they have height, they have everything, but the way he sets her down, you can see right there, there's no touching between her body and his body. He slowly stops her by grabbing her by the hips and sets her down on one foot. That catch is picture perfect.
Now, what did you like, or how did the position with her arms over the head, how did that enhance the element?
Well, it makes it a lot more difficult to rotate with your arms above the head. But we can also talk about the difficult entry that the Chinese team tried to do, and that's also add points to your elements. The only problem is when you do a difficult entry, you don't have the luxury to reset to do the elements. So they did a little dance lift. If you remember well, they did a little dance lift, they reset, and then boom, they went into the twist. Now, they didn't lose any point, but they didn't get the maximum points that they would have liked to have on that element.
So they were hoping to go right from that little dance lift and right away into the air, and the fact that there was a pause meant that they didn't get any extra points, but they didn't really lose any points. Is that correct?
That is correct, and you can translate anytime. It makes sense in my head when I say it, but sometimes it can't make sense to you guys at home, so that's why PJ is here.
Now, our next team, let's take a look at Alyona Savchenko and Robin Sholkovi. They have a twist as well, so let's take a look.
Well, you can see here right from the steps, so they don't do a lift before the twist, but they do little steps like a footwork, and right from there, he sets her in and keeps the momentum to set her up into the air. And that's why they're 2-time world champion. It's extremely difficult to do, and you don't want to sacrifice the quality of the elements, even though you're making it harder by adding the steps before the element.
And it was, again, the fact that they went immediately from the step right into that twist is what made the difficulty. And so when we're talking about the twist, you're going to be able to see them in the short program. We're going to remember some of those finer points. David is going to be along to sort of guide us through there, stick handle us, if you will. And what we're going to talk about now is our PJ's Podium Picks. It's a little feature we have here on Bold. We may rename it to Peltier Podium Picks. You know what he's like.
They don't pay me enough. I don't do my picks. I keep it for myself.
So here we go. These are my podium picks for the pairs event. I was looking in practice, and I agree with you that Megan Duhamel and Eric Radford are definitely the team to watch. But there's a little bit of a surprise team here in that there's a Russian team, Lubov Sheshkina and Ilyush Sheshkina. I'm so sorry about that. And her partner, Mazuradze from Russia. They're the ones that I think are going to be in third place. But in first, Megan Duhamel and Eric Radford from Canada, followed by Canada's Kirsten Moore-Towers and Dylan Moskovich, based for me on the energy of the programs. And then in third, bronze medal to go to Lubov Ilyosheshkina and Nodari Mazuradze. What do you think, David?
Well, I agree with you for the first place, but just because I like to be different, I think I'd put the Russian team second and then the third team, the Canadian team in third. And just because not only I like to be different, but also I think the Russian team is a little bit more experienced internationally, and sometimes experience is a good thing.
Well, and they also seem to be coming back to that more classic Russian line, which I absolutely love. Beautiful, strength, grace, elegance. So I will have to see. Short program is going to be underway shortly. We hope you're going to stay with us. And that's it for David Peltier and PJ Kwong. We're ringside, and we'll see you back after this short break.
Les officiels sont les suivants.
This is the starting order for our next event, the pairs short program. Skating first, Megan Duhamel and Eric Radford, followed by Canada's Kirsten Moore-Towers and Dylan Moskovich. Then Canada's Paige Lawrence and Rudy Sweepers. Then we will have from the United States, Brittany Simpson and Nathan Miller, followed by Marissa Castelli and Simon Schnapier. Russians, Lubov Ilyosheshkina and Nodari Mazuradze skate sixth. Then Stacy Kemp and David King and Weibo Dong and Yiming Wu from China as the highest ranked competitors here will skate last in the short program.
From Switzerland, Christine Blanc.
Short program warm-up, 6 minutes in length.
From
For
Austria,
the pairs.
Ursula Stahl.
8 teams competing, divided into 2 warm-up groups.
From Sweden, Mona Johnson.
Round of applause.